Hello and welcome back to my channel. Today's video is actually a request. Somebody asked me if I could make a video showing how to stamp soap. So therefore, here we go. Maybe some of you might find it interesting as well. So for cold process soap, what I usually do is I take these acrylic stamps, as you can see here, and a rubber mallet. It's not really needed, but it's good to have one. And then I have my stamps made by a stamp maker. In Germany you send him your design and then he makes your stamp and sends it back to you. I'm sure you have different kind of options everywhere around the world, so you can see there are different designs here. I also have my own logo that I stamp in my regular soap. And here are some other examples. But now I would like to start with melt and pour, because it's a bit more difficult to stamp melt and pour soap, and I wanted to try out something here and show you what you could do. So these are some inserts, some silicone inserts that you can use, and I will link down a company in the US where I had these made. It's a logo of a company, and then you can just place them inside your soap mold and then you have this impression. So let's try and see. So you want to just cut down some glycerin soap and melt it down, chop it in cubes first so it melts quicker, and then let's see how this turns out. While our soap base is melting down, we want to place our little insert here. In the mold that you want to use, I chose this square one here because it fits very well to the insert. And then you want the text or the impression to face up. And then you gently start from a corner because you don't want the insert to move. Then you pour in your soap very gently, take your time. And then all we need to do is to wait for a couple of hours and see how this turned out. Then I had a very interesting idea, and I just want to see if this works out if you don't have such inserts or they are too costly. Sometimes they are. You know, you have these glue guns, and I was wondering if you could make a relief, you know, inside your soap mold. I tried it here on a piece of paper. So I went ahead and I tried to make a pattern inside the silicone mold just for the fun and just to see whether or not this could be a possibility. People that know me know that I like to do experiments on camera, actually, because I like to see and take people along to see if it works out or not. So this is my first try. And I'm having a little bit of trouble with the glue here. But we're just gonna find out. Okay, so you let it harden a little bit, and then once it's hard, you take your soap base and you pour it inside the mold. Very gently. And now it's time again to wait until it hardens so we can see how it turns out. Here we go, time to unmold. Here is the soap that had the silicone insert. It's a bit hard to get out, so I had to take this tool here. So here we go. It says enjoy every moment. I think it's cute. And now let's see how the super experiment turned out here. Here we go. Okay, I mean the design is a little bit what it is, huh? But the point is just that I wanted to see if it works, and it actually works. So if the design is pretty, then your soap will be pretty as well. And then something I just recently found on a website here in Germany was like a soap glitter nail, like a nail polish, but it's for soap. And I wanted to try out whether or not this would work. I think it's really fun. It's a funny, you know, concept. But it seems to work. It gives a nice glittery texture. Maybe you cannot really pick up on camera, but it looks pretty. So here is the melt and pour stamp that you could do. So moving on to cold process soap stamping, this is how I like to do it. I think there are many techniques or different type of ways that you could do that. I'm gonna turn you around here so you can see better. So I have soap that was freshly cut. I typically let it sit maybe for 1-2 hours so that the surface can get really a bit dry or hard, you know, so that it's not completely soft. And then I like to take an end piece, like a thin piece that you would typically use for samples or as a tester. Then I take the rubber mallet, I place the stamp where I want to have it, and I give it just a light tap just to see that the stamp really sinked into the soap. And you can see that because it gets a bit darker, and then you want to very gently wiggle the stamp out of the soap. And then here we go, you have a very nice impression. And when you see that the stamp works out fine on your sample piece or on your tester piece, then you know that you can go ahead and just stamp all of your regular sized soap. So again, you place your stamp on the soap. With the rubber mallet, you give it a light tap until you see that the stamp really sinked into the soap. And there you go. It's not really difficult, it's something maybe you need to get used to at the beginning, but once you know how to do it, it's totally easy. Now here is a possibility what you can do if you want to color your stamping. You could just take some regular mica that you want to use, you put it on a surface, flatten it out a little bit just like so. Then you take a little bit of rubbing alcohol and a Q-tip. You dip it into the rubbing alcohol and then very carefully you wet just the letters or the design, not inside of the stamp. Then you dip it into your mica. You can see here, it's colored now. And then you do the exact same thing. You grab your mallet and you give it a light tap. And that's it, and you have a colored stamp. If you want to clean your stamp because you added some mica to it or some colorant, or just because you used it on a particular soap, then what I like to do, very easy, you just take a very soft brush, like so, a little bit of water, and you just gently make sure that everything, every little piece of soap that might have been gotten stuck inside your letters or design is removed. It's not a big deal. And then you let it dry completely until your next use. Now, of course, sometimes you will have a soap that is harder when it comes out of the mold. You know, it's not always the same, you can never really tell. And in this situation, then instead of a light tap, you want to give it a good whack. Sometimes it's really, you know, it really takes some strength, like you can see here. That one was quite difficult. And then here you can see this is a olive oil soap, and I took it out of the mold after maybe 3-4 days, and it's still quite soft, so you want to be very, very light and gentle, and then it goes very fast, of course. This is another soap. It is a donkey milk soap with a recipe containing a high amount of liquid oils. Therefore, it always takes about 5 to 7 days to take it out of the mold. And here, of course, the stamping is not always immediately after unmolding, depending on how hard the surface is. With the experience, you will be able to tell when it's the exact time to stamp. This one here was one of my first shaving soaps that I made, and you can see the stamp is not nice because it was too soft and it was stamped too soon. So that's an example, just so you can see how it looks. And this one here, the soap is too hard and it's very, very difficult to get a good stamp. It's almost impossible to do a correct impression, and you can see here it didn't really sink into the soap. So I wanted to show you also these two examples. And here, this was the first video I made where I stamped soap. Here we go. So I really hope you enjoyed this video. Maybe you did find some helpful tricks for you. I certainly hope so, and I hope to see you very soon around for another one. And I wish you a wonderful day. Bye bye.